Welcome to IlliniGuys Pregame Live. This is Mike Cagley with Brad Sturdy, Kedrick Prince. We are going to talk a little bit about the upcoming game today with Rutgers. Brad, the first thing that people have asked us about is who is out for today for the Illini. Any thoughts or want to go through the list for us? And
Yeah, I mean, Big Ten releases that, and you see Leon Lowry Jr. Obviously, we know about Xavier Scott, but Dylan Rosiak, that was one that hurts. And then on the depth side, you've got Desmond Schuster. It's not good to have them out, but if you lose players on the defensive side of the ball, does it make your defense worse? You know what I mean? Do you give up? What do you instead of scoring on 7 of 8 possessions, they score on all 8? I mean, I don't know. So. I know that sounds cynical, but I mean, maybe it's time to give some of those young guys a shot and see what happens.
On the flip side of it, though, we know Rutgers, we talked about this before we got on the air. They have a lot of guys out for this game. Brad, did you mention, how many, maybe 12 to
24 guys. They have 24 guys out for this game or for the season.
Yeah. So this is, it's late in the season. It's November, and the injuries are going to happen. And the coaches like to use the term next man up. So we're going to see what that looks like for Illinois today.
yeah, we will see that for sure. And of course, I guess the biggest discussion point that we have is, this is going to be the battle of two defenses that have been poor. So, like when I was a little kid, they had a comic book where Shazam, Captain Marvel, took on Superman, and it was the irresistible force versus the immovable object. Today, it's the resistible force versus the movable object, and we're going to see which one of these defenses is less impressive. But I'm going to throw something at you, Brad. I'm going to say that when you look at who Rutgers has played, when you look at their overall defensive numbers and being a bad defense, they've given up some points to some teams that aren't the greatest offensive teams. And I would say Illinois' schedule was tougher than what Rutgers has. So maybe there's a little shred of hope that the Illinois defense has been, when you go up against Indiana, let's just say the Indiana-Oregon games offset each other. Illinois still has Ohio State. They still have USC. They still have Washington, and they can take Washington off of Rutgers. But I just think when you look at USC and Ohio State, those offenses are a little bit better than maybe Minnesota and Iowa.
Oh, I agree. And, I think the other side of it is, too, also, both teams score the ball well. Rutgers scores 31 points a game. So they have a good offense. So that's going to challenge the Illinois defense regardless. But I do think that Illinois should be able to move the ball very well against this Rutgers defense. That should not be an issue. They've given up a ton of rushing yards as well. So being able to run the ball makes Brett Bielema happy. So I think that that's a good thing. If you go back, these guys here's their defensive numbers. They gave up 31 points to Ohio to start the season, but since the Big Ten started, it's 38, 31, 38, 56, and then 24 in their win over Purdue. So, yeah, I don't know. The other thing is they haven't. This is their and this kind of one of those things that wears on teams. This is their 4th consecutive week playing as well, and so that's something that can really hurt a team. And this is their 3rd road game in those 4 weeks, including trips to Washington, across the country, then to Purdue, and then to Illinois. So these are it's a tough schedule. I think Illinois is in a good place to have a good day as long as they execute and compete and do what they need to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, for me, Mike, I don't want to minimize what you said. I think Illinois has played some really good teams, really good offenses. But I think the big issue is with a lot of people, regardless if you're playing Ohio State, Indiana, or Washington, you got to get off the field sometimes. Last week against Washington, it was just too easy. There was no pressure at all. So I think that part of it is huge, the teams that they're playing. But at some point you have to, and I know because I can assure you today, Rutgers is going to think that they're going to have all time in the world today to throw, but I do think and believe that you're going to see some different defensive packages today. I think you'll see some quarterback pressures today from Illinois. They're not going to sit back and let the number one passing team in the Big Ten just light them up. I hope they don't. I shouldn't say they won't, but I've heard that there's going to be some changes. And Brad is right. They've been all over the place. They're at home. But if you want to be a championship team, and they've had an opportunity to play in the college football playoffs, they blew that themselves. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the Washington game stinks to me, but I'm more disappointed in the Ohio State game because they were the team that scored the most points against Ohio State, but you put the ball on the 40-yard line, I think 3 or 4 times to the Buckeyes, so you kind of gave them that game. Can't look in the past, but you got to come out here and play and try to salvage the season still because you're playing for one of the best bowl games in the country still. So you can't come out and pretend that these games don't matter because Rutgers is trying to win just like everybody else.
Yeah, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Calc at quarterback, watching him both at Minnesota and at Rutgers, he is one of the craziest quarterbacks I can remember seeing because if you put him under pressure, he makes some unbelievably good plays and some unbelievably bad plays. The range that you get from him, like Luke Altmaier's, typically not going to make the really dumb play. He's going to, get rid of the ball, make sure he doesn't get the interception. If you look at Luke this year, 3 interceptions and 2 of them were off of Illini hands. But with Calc, I think you have to roll the dice and make him make great plays because he will make the bad one. And who knows, maybe with Daniel Brown playing today, maybe Illinois can get a little bit more of a pass rush, give the opposing team somebody else to block other than Gabe Akis.
In theory, that would be good. It looks like James Kreutz and Malachi Hood will get the starts in place of Lowry and Goziak. So, yeah, that would be expected. So we'll see. I don't know. I would. What to think about this Illinois defense. Like, I really don't know if if they can put pressure on him. Do they have to blitz? Can they blitz? Can they afford to blitz? I don't know. But he will make mistakes. He'll also make some great plays. The one thing is, like, I thought if we go back, I look at that USC game. I thought their quarterback made some really good plays under duress.
Unbelievable plays. Yep.
And I have not seen them actually make a quarterback do that since. Like, it's
Right.
been just
They
like, all right,
haven't.
go back there, sit back there for a month and decide what we're going to do. So I'd like to see more of that because I think if they do that, he'll make some mistakes that allow them to get a couple turnovers. And that's basically the only way that they're able to get stops, right? Is by getting a
Turnovers.
turnover.
I think they were kind of panicking. USC has really good receivers, and they didn't drop very many passes. You hear from everything from players missing assignments, they need to coach them differently. But you're right, it's been since the USC game. But in that game, like I just mentioned, there was great throws and some unbelievable catches. They didn't hardly drop any balls. Illinois was laying the wood to them. So maybe that's why. I just hope to see something different today, but you don't want to get burnt either doing it.
Yeah, the other thing you think about is Illinois. We don't probably talk enough about the offense. Of course, I wrote in Heat Checks and Hail Marys back in July all the records that where Altmaier had an opportunity to get to the very, very close to the top of Illinois all-time quarterback ratings and stuff. But Luke is having a yet another incredible year: 15 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, 2,020 yards. You have Hank Beatty, who is really kind of coming into his own and, should be an all Big Ten player. And who knows what he's going to do the next 4 weeks here. Illinois' offense, we don't talk about it a lot, but they've been really effective as long as they're not forced to score every time they get the ball. Brad, your thoughts on this Illinois offense that really has kind of fallen by the wayside just because the team has lost 3 games?
Yeah, and they're good. This is a really good offense. I mean, you take out the Indiana game, and they've been pretty good offensively. Obviously, Ohio State, they scored points against Ohio State, which is something that teams haven't done consistently this year, right? And so nobody's done that. So it's been I don't know. I guess that the offense has been the saving grace for this program. Now, the question I have is what with all that pressure on them because they really have to continue to score, because they don't score. What happens? Well, then you know that the other team's going to score, and even if they get a field goal, there's so much pressure on that, on them to get a touchdown, because the other team's going to score so many points. So yeah, I think what they've done has been really impressive. I think Hank Beatty's been fantastic. I think Luke Altmaier's been fantastic. I think they need to get the running game going just a little bit to offset that. But what Ohio State, I think Illinois has the most points. I think they're the what's the most points? I think that's most points against Ohio State. So I get 16.
Yes,
Nobody else has scored double figures. And looking at their upcoming schedule, who's scoring double figures against that defense? Unless it's a pick six on the other way.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But here's the thing: Ohio State's defense is so good, their offense just kind of can go through. They don't have to take chances offensively. You know what I mean? Like, they're not. They have Penn State, they have Purdue, they have UCLA, Rutgers, and then the Michigan game. Of course, they'll probably lose that one, but just because it's Michigan. But yeah, what Illinois offense, they scored 16 points against Ohio State, which is probably more than anybody else in the regular season is going to score. So that's impressive. And now they have to be just a competent defense. They don't have to be a great defense. They just have to be competent, and they'll be successful. They have a really good chance of winning the next 4 games.
I think the offense is great. I just think the defense have put them in bad situations where they become predictable. Last week, I think 1 or 2 of those interceptions wouldn't have been thrown. They know Washington, they knew Illinois had to get back in the game. They know who their go-to guy is. They all know that it's Hank Beatty. I'm going to tell you a guy today that I really want to see. You guys talk about the running game. I really want to see them use Cole Russ. The last 2-3 games, he has been outstanding. Mike and I have always been high on him, and, he's a fast target. He doesn't drop balls. And I've heard a number of press conferences this week from coaches talking about how well he's played. And, he's another option, with Dixon and Beatty. So I would like to see them throw the ball to him a little bit more. But the offense, I'm all in. I just think if you don't put them in situations where they're going to throw the ball, and they're going to throw a cross route to Hank where he has a chance to get hurt or pick it off. Now that's when Luke can become effective. But if they can get off the field and not trail like they have the last few games, I think the offense will look even better. They have the weapons. They have a great running game. Haven't been able to use it because it depends on if the offensive line is going to show up and open up holes.
Yeah, and I keep looking it back, and you look at this team and you think the other thing I think I've been really impressed by was what is being done with Beatty in terms of using him in different combinations. And I'd like to see Barry Lundy Jr. continue that. Keep doing the occasional wildcat play. Keep doing let Hank unveil that golden arm that he threw with at Rochester. Give defenses something to think about, because if you give defenses just playing a half step slow, all of a sudden your running game, you've got a little bit of room for your guys. So I would like to see that, and I think this is a time for I don't know how you guys
the
feel.
Illinois defense, Mike.
Exactly. My example would be the other thing I would like to see is look. This is the time for that offensive line that was highly touted coming into the season. You got 4 games to bully people and show what you can do. And look, I've said for years, Illinois would love to become the equivalent of what Iowa and Wisconsin were, which is a 9-3, 10-2 team that occasionally can bump up and play with the big boys. And one of the things that you do if you want to become that is you have a year that may not be your greatest year, and you still end up 9-3. I think that's a total change in Illinois' ability to win, and I put that at the feet of Brett Bielema.
Yeah, no question. But here's the reality: everything falls on Bielema. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, and I think he has to find a way to make this work. Whatever you do, it all eventually comes down to the head coach.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to see. He talked about last couple weeks about being hands-on, and he's not going to call the plays, but he'll have some input. I'm really curious to see if that's going to make a difference. But what you're going to hear, if the defense has changed today, the fans aren't going to care because it's not against Ohio State, Washington, or Indiana. That's just, and I get it. I understand that. But you still have to win. And you know what's impressive today, fellas, as well? They've had some disappointing losses, and fans they're heartbroken because the college playoff is probably out of the window, but it's still sold out. So that still tells you what the expectations are. The bar's been, the bar's higher. They expect to win. And if they go 9 wins, I mean, like when we started the show at the beginning of the season, a lot of us talked about maybe 9 wins. I know I did. I was the one guy that the schedule I thought was tough to begin with. I thought Ohio State be tough. I always thought Washington was a trap game. I was even concerned about Purdue, to tell you the truth, even though it wasn't an issue. So I think they've done well with the schedule. Things didn't work out. You've had injuries. You had setbacks from, guys not blocking or guys missing assignment defensively. So I just think it's not been a bad season, and it's still a good team. I just don't think they're great. There's a difference between being elite and good and great.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. They're not great, I think, and I think that's ultimately the issue that you have to look at with Aaron Henry. I think he's got to do more with what he's got, and I think the other side of the coin is that if you're looking at NIL spending and trying to attract the best players, I think that Illinois also has a little bit of a gap to close there. I'm not saying that they're going to compete with Ohio State for everybody, but Illinois needs to increase the spend. If you want to take on a $35 to $40 million roster, you need more than $5 to $9 million. I know, Brad, you kind of are around campus and know a lot of the folks, but is there also an awareness that while the coaches have to get better, the maybe the funding sources have to be a little more dramatically increased? Like we know Indiana went from like nothing to 35 million in 2 years.
Yeah, no, I think that's part of the gig, right? I mean, now it's the world has changed in college football, and now it's not just rev share; it's finding rev share and then finding money outside that you can get the best players for. And you're not going to be Ohio State, but can you be? You can compete on that next tier. I think that's the goal, right? To be at the second tier, because if you're at the second tier, then you have an opportunity to compete. And you're not going to beat Ohio State every year. You're not going to beat Michigan every year, things like that. Those teams that can pay more, but you can go out and beat the Minnesotas and the Purdue's and compete with beat Iowa maybe, or Northwestern, et cetera. You win those games, and then you go out and compete against Ohio State, because you don't have to have the same exact payroll. I mean, but if you have Illinois competed okay with Ohio State, now give them a couple more difference makers.
Right.
Now, where are you at? Now you maybe they make a play and you get a pick, or you get you score another touchdown, whatever. It gives you an opportunity to compete in those games against those big teams. May not win all the time, but you're on the cusp.
Mike, I want to just change it here real quick. And I know everybody's upset with Aaron Henry. And I guess because they're not doing what they did in the past, I'm going to just say, and you guys may feel different, the talent level is different, fellas. I don't see a Devin Witherspoon on this roster. I don't see a Quan Martin on this roster. I mean, if you guys do, I would love to hear about it. Or a Kirby Joseph. I don't see them. And that's what made them great to begin with. So you could get pressure up front. You were able to do that. And Brad mentioned it last week. Brad, one of the things he's done well, and he's always developed players. Well, this time it hasn't really happened. Matthew Bailey's one of those guys, but he's been hurt most of his career. So having said that, fans need to realize that they were great then because they had bona fide NFL talent in the secondary, and they don't have that right now.
Yeah, and I think you've got this. If you don't have the talent, then you've got to scheme ways to put players under pressure. And I think that's probably the frustration that I've had, is that we didn't. Ohio State at no point in that game did Sayan have to do anything out of the ordinary or out of his own rhythm, because he wasn't forced to do that. And I think we see a lot of times, if guys are forced out of their rhythm, that's when you get the turnover. That's when you get the mistake. That's when you get the left tackle jumping off sides, moving, and you get the 5-yard penalty, so that a 3rd and 1 turns into a 3rd and 6, and then an incompletion, and then you're off the field. And I think that's probably the biggest frustration people have with the Illini defense right now, is they're not even schematically trying to put the pressure on to make somebody change what they're doing. I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, I think you're right. I think you're spot on, Mike. And I think that's the. I mean, there's so many things that go into being successful. It's not just like you can't just have great players. You can't just have great coaches. You can't just have it's all got to be a piece. It's got to be execution. It's got to be a whole fluid. A corporation almost. Like it all has to work together to make everything fit. And that's the same thing on offense, defense, whatever, special teams. Everything's got to work together. So yeah, I think you're spot on.
Well, hopefully that they can get this turned around. And you're right. It's a good assessment, Mike. They get it figured out today. I want to see them like the scoreboard up today, which I think they will. Rutgers doesn't have a good defense. I really want to see them make some change defensively, get some interceptions, show that there's life in the program. And it's not a secret, and we're not here, Illini guys, to try to get coaches fired or want coaches to get fired. But everybody knows the heat that's coming with the defensive coordinator happens all the time because Brad Bielema came here to win championships, and you're not going to win championships if both sides of the ball aren't good. They have to be great. I look at, to be honest with you, I know this is the Illinois podcast, but if I look at the most complete team in the Big Ten, I think it's Indiana. I don't think Ohio State's offense is good enough, and I think Indiana's is to get over the hump. So, but the reason I'm saying that is because to be great, you have to have good offense, good defense, and your special teams have to be on point. But the other thing is the depth. Injuries are going to happen this late in the season. You're probably going to see some guys out today because they're sore. I mean, they've been playing for a long time. So the depth is going to become an issue. Illinois' depth is now better than it has been in the last 20, 25 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, and as we kind of wrap up here, of course, folks, we'll be on IlliniGuys Halftime Live. We'll be on, and then we will do post-game show as well. So make sure that you tune in. The Halftime Live is on the IlliniGuys.com YouTube channel, and the post-game is on the STL Sports Central YouTube channel. So please tune in. You can get all Illini information right as it's happening. One last thing as we kind of wrap up here with just we got a few minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about Monday. There's something happening at the State Farm Center. Brad, pretty exciting. We got basketball season started off. Any news coming out of the basketball side for the opener?
Yeah, it doesn't. Mahalo Petrovic is out. Andrei Stojakovic is going to be a game time decision. I think those are the two. I think kind of the big news from that, and I think much of it is precautionary. They're just trying to make sure that everybody's good to go because here's the reality: the game against Texas Tech is the big one, in this first couple weeks, and then Alabama and so forth. So, obviously you'd like to get them some experience playing together, but at the same time, I think it's a good decision if they're not 100% to let them sit out this first game.
I'm going to echo that. I'd rather see them sit. They're going to win the game next week. They should win the game next week, and you don't need either one of those guys. And I would much rather see them sit now than, you get a 2-hour injury report that Stojakovic played, and then he's not playing in the Texas Tech game, or he has to miss 2 or 3 weeks. We saw that enough last year with Tommy being injured a few times. So the injury bug hit them. Kasparis was out. It's long-term, and the schedule is not easy, which is exciting. I mean, you look at a lot of the national guys and they pick their top games. Illinois is on at least 3 or 4 of those guys' lists. So I like that. But at the end of the day, get them healthy so for sure, because Milo has been injured twice. He had an ankle, and hamstrings are tough, fellas. You guys both know that, and our listeners out there know that. You could make one wrong turn and he's injured and he's out for another month. I don't want to see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see that. We want to make sure that he's using training methods that are a little more advanced than the Wheaties commercial or the Saturday Night Live commercial with the chocolate donuts and cigarettes. we definitely want to see that. I will tell you, I really think, and I know Illinois fans don't like Tom Izzo, but I think Brad Underwood has taken a page from what Izzo does. This is a brutal early schedule, but you're gonna be battle tested when you get time to tip off in the Big Ten.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this is what you want, right? And I'm not trying to be. We're all excited to watch Jackson State, but are you excited to watch most of the? I mean, outside of Texas Tech, the big games, the Texas Techs, the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the Mizzou. Those are the games people want to see, right? In the non-conference, those are the games you want to see. Nobody's really. You want to see the early non-conference a couple times, but then it's like, okay, I don't want to play. I don't know, Timbuktu State, who's ranked 350th on KenPom, and play them and beat them 84-42, and go to that game. I mean, it's just not the same. So we want to see this competition. That's what the fans want, and that's what gets Illinois ready. Brad Underwood made a great point to me. He was talking about. He said, if you don't play a difficult non-conference, it gives you false hope, and you don't know what you're really made for when you get to Big Ten play. Made of when you get to Big Ten play, because you think, oh yeah, we're good, we're 11-0 or something like that. Well, you may be, but who have you played? Who have you beaten? And you're not ready for what is the wars of the Big Ten.
Hey, real quick, I'm glad the schedule looks like that, but I want to see them win some of the games. Last year, they only beat Arkansas. I want to see them beat Texas Tech at home. I don't want to see them walk into the State Farm Center and win. I want to see them win in Chicago. You're not going to win them all, but at least 2 or 3 of those wins. And I'm going to tell you, UConn is scary good. I've watched them play. They are outstanding, and that's on a neutral court allegedly, but still, they need to win some of these games.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then one last thing, of course, we've seen all sorts of stuff off the field. You've got Louisiana governor trying to help hire a football coach and fire an athletic director. So Illinois fans, whether you like Pritzker, you don't like Pritzker, at least he's not trying to meddle in University of Illinois football or basketball. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. One thing is we do have a competent athletic director. I think that helps.
Exactly. Although that guy, I'm not saying he was competent or incompetent. He did get some national titles while he was there. So
yeah, that's true.
It's hard to say he was a total fool, but certainly the buyouts are crazy that we're seeing right now.
I mean, just throwing out. I mean, it's insane the amount of money. Evidently, there's a lot of money in the United States because they're throwing it all at football coaches.
Yes, I think the same thing. And then finally, it's going to be a weird weekend for people who have YouTube TV, because you're going to have to you're going to have to buy the ESPN combined app that they have. I think it's ESPN, Hulu, and Disney, which will get you access on your TV to all the games that are on ESPN channels. Or you may not be watching a lot of college football this weekend. I think it's a very interesting timing. And folks, I was one of the people who said cutting the cord is insane because DirecTV gave such a good degree of service. And now I'm paying for YouTube TV and an ESPN app, and I have to have Peacock and Amazon Prime and this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. I think this time, I know everybody pines for the good old days, but I'd rather just have my DirecTV with every football game at my fingertips.
Give me one of those little cable boxes with an antenna on the top. I'm irritated. I have YouTube TV. My package didn't work, so I'm going to have to text you during the game to get that figured out, because I thought my package would work because I have that Disney Plus Hulu package, and it's not working for me.
Yeah,
I always hate it when your package doesn't work. So they have a
What's up, Griff?
No,
they have we got one of our Illini guys contributors. He's probably wondering, like, am I going to be talking college basketball? And Griff, you got to clear your schedule on Illini games. It's very easy.
No, they have so one thing I'll add to that, I think it's interesting that you see the ESPN guys try and get you, hey, tell YouTube TV, because we're going to ask them for more money so we can get more money. So it's basically trying to convince you to go pay more money for yourself. I'm going to tell YouTube TV to get this so I can now pay more.
I'm not doing it. I don't really care.
Oh, heck no. It's like
the Big Ten game not even on there.
It's crazy. I just don't. I don't know. This whole thing is just all. Think about how many streaming services you have now. It's just insane. It's
like
so
I said.
insane.
It's crazy, and so I guess the advantage for young people is they can use their phone. They don't have to have a subscription based or a TV and a satellite dish, etc. So I get that part of it. But beyond that, this has not worked out at all. And I predicted a long time ago it's going to cost a lot more to watch TV than it does now. And sure enough, here we are. So I've got more streaming services than I can shake a stick at. So it's crazy. Any thoughts, final prediction here on the game, Brad?
I think Illinois wins. Actually, looking at this, I think I picked Illinois 34-31. I think it was our Illini guys' picks. And I think they're going to win by more. I think they're going to win by a touchdown or more. So just because I've been kind of doing some more in-depth look at Rutgers and their schedule and what they've had to do over the past few weeks. And I think Illinois is going to have a good one and have a good win this week.
I picked Illinois to win 41-21. I think they're going to score points, but I'm afraid that I think Rutgers may score more than 21. But I did pick Illinois to win today.
Yeah, I picked Illinois 42-28. I thought maybe Illinois could force some turnovers. I know I'm thinking of Kalimakis back from his Minnesota days, but boy, he was good for at least a couple really painful ones. Looking at the crowd on TV, it does look a little bit sparse, but it is maybe it's a little bit chillier, and you've got some people slept in.
Well, and I think also you've probably got some people. It's another 11 a.m. start. It seems like they've cornered the market on 11 a.m. starts this year, but this is but I think 11 a.m. start, cold, coming off a loss. It's not surprising some people decided to maybe skip this one. You also got a lot of high school football playoffs going on today. Still got some playoff games. They played last night. There's some of them playing today too. So a lot of other things going on. And when you go 5-3, you lose that game last week. It's not as much of a priority. If they win at Washington last week, a lot of those people would make it more of a priority to get there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so you want to win, you want to be in contention. Bielema's turned this team around, and the only negative I think I see is that he's done a wonderful job at Illinois, but then when people see what happens when you get the money on day one in huge, vast amounts, and you're a good coach, that's why Indiana's been so successful. So Cignetti's kind of ruined it for everybody else.
Yes, he has.
Any other comments as we wrap up here, guys?
No, ILL.
Get the W.
All right, we will see you folks at halftime. So like I said, as soon as the game goes away, we'll be here. Please come on and join. We'll talk all Illinois stuff, so you don't have to look at all the national games and never hear a single thing about the Illini game during halftime. Until halftime, of course, go Illini. Welcome to IlliniGuys Halftime Live. This is Mike Cagley with Zeno, Joe, and Kedrick Prince. We are talking Illini football. I tell you, we found out, I guess, at least through one half, which team has the lesser of the two defenses. Ked, your initial thoughts coming into halftime here?
I just tweeted out that we're on live, and the first half MVPs for me was Luke Altmaier. The play calling, using his legs, and Henry's defense. I know people have been on him and riding him, and it's easy to be negative and being positive. It was when it's time to be positive. Gabe Atkins, we heard his name today. They've gotten deflections. They've gone after the quarterback. It's just been a kind of a dull first half because it's 21-6. It hasn't been really, really exciting. But for me, coming into this game, one, you want to win, and two, I really want to see what they were going to do defensively. And they did a really, really good job of confusing Rutgers, what they were doing, hiding, schemes. And so that part's been impressive to me. And the fact that, and Barry Lunny Jr. is one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I know it's going to be tough. I hope they can hold on to him next year. He is one of the best play callers in all of college football, in my opinion.
Zeno?
Yeah, you took my MVP away, so I'll go Luke Altmaier's calves and hamstrings, maybe. He's been great on the ground. The game started off, I thought, hey, it might be an Aiden Lawfrey type game, and it did start out like that. Aiden Lawfrey had a good few rushes, and then, as the game rolled on, the passing game hasn't been there. It's been a bit windy here, surprisingly. It's been back and forth, left and right. But, Luke's been great on the ground, keeping the defense on their heels. And to the Barry Lunny point, good story. I ran into Carson Boyd's dad pregame, Ked, and he's a bit worried about Barry Lunny leaving. But yeah, they were two really good scoring plays to end the half. There was the guard shifts for the second touchdown, and just motioning everybody on the field, all 22 guys, to one side of the field to open up the left side for Hank Beatty on the second play. It's been great. I think if you're an Illinois fan, if you're a pessimistic Illinois fan, which I know a lot of, you'd think, hey, we should have 35 points, we should have 28 points, but with the way that the game is flowing, with the way that the passing offense hasn't been productive really for both sides, not much to be upset with.
No.
Yeah, let's go through real quick. Total yards, Illinois has an advantage, 267 to 134. Passing yards, they have an advantage, 135 to 112. 132 to 22 in rushing yards. That is a huge thing. Lightly penalized, 1 for 10 for Illinois, 2 for 15 for our friends over at Rutgers. Illinois, 15 first downs to 9. And third downs, Illinois is 4 for 5, and Rutgers is 3 for 9. So that is a considerably better job by the Illini getting off the field. Now, both teams are perfect on fourth down. Illinois 1 for 1 and 2 for 2 for Rutgers. Illinois has basically had the ball for 36 plays, 39 for Rutgers. And you're looking at a 7.4 yards per play for Illinois, 3.4 for Rutgers. The average yards completion within a yard there, 10.4 to Illinois, 9.3. Average yards per rush is 9.4 to 1.6, thanks to Luke Altmaier's hamstrings and calves. And you have basically in the red zone, Illinois was 3 for 3 and 1 for 1 for Rutgers. Time of possession, 16:03 for Rutgers, 13:57 for Illinois. One turnover. Luke Altmaier got his fourth interception of the year. I'll have to note that 3 of them were deflections, but nonetheless, the fourth interception of the year, no fumbles. Each quarterback has been sacked once for 7 yards. So you're looking at a game that Altmaier has 135 yards passing, and he's basically completing almost 60% of his passes. He's contributed another 86 yards of rushing on 6 attempts, and those were killers. I had to think of last week with Williams on that 3rd and 18 when Altmaier did his 3rd and 17 magic. So impressive first half. Ked, about the only thing I guess I'd like to see a little more of is I'd like to see Illinois' rushing attack be keyed by Lowry and Fagan a little bit more in the second half so that Brett can do his victory formation and feel good about it.
I would like to see them run the ball more too, especially Caden Fagan. I think he's too good of a prospect, too good of a football player to only have one. But I mean, look at the statistics. I know you just gave him for his rushing yards, 1 attempt for 7 yards. I think he's too good of a player, and also you don't want Luke running the ball like this the entire time. I don't know. I know Rutgers will talk about Luke at halftime. Whether they can stop him at all or not remains to be seen. But if you run, and I think we have to give credit to Rutgers secondary. The reason Luke is running is because there's nobody open. So they're obviously doing a really, really good job of closing out on our receivers. So then this is why one of the reasons, not because of Barry Lunny's play calling because it looks fun, but he adjusts. If you take something away from him, he'll go to something else. And he's doing it on the fly, which is why I'm so impressed with him. So, yes, them running the football would be great. I would love to see Illinois have a running back to get 75, 80, 90 yards a game again. I don't know if that's going to happen. Do they have the players to do it? They sure do. But, that goes back to what Barry does. If he takes what they give, and again, Mr. Zeno, you're right. The Illinois fans, I don't know what's going to happen this offseason. I listened to a radio show this week, and I don't know if this guy he made a mistake. He made a comment about Illinois' red zone offense being one of the worst in the country. I've never looked it up, but then I saw the statistic. It's one of the best ones in the Big Ten. They score. Once they get in the red zone, if they don't turn it over by fumbling like they did against USC and a couple other teams, they're going to score. Mike, on our comments, I'm glad to see people talk about the defense looking better because they do. I knew they were going to be aggressive. I said that at the pregame show. It's nice to see them let those players play to their athleticism and their talent.
Yeah, I think that stat might have been touchdown conversion in the red zone. I'm not entirely sure because they do sure get a lot of field goals at least. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good game. the defense has been performing. I know in the beginning, right, he went
Yep.
after Jaheim Clark quite a bit, went after Torrey Cox quite a bit, but they both have seemed to have recovered. Both are, if the opposing quarterback's throwing 12 and 25, you're doing something right. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and again, it's windy. No one's going to have, you're not going to have a 400-yard, 4-touchdown performance in this kind of weather. It's chilly, it's cold. I wore my thicker quarter zip today. It's that kind of day. It's November football. And I think to Ked's point, to win in November, to win in these kind of conditions, you need those performances from Aiden Lawfrey, Caden Fagan on the ground, in the trenches, really. And mixing it up, I think I'd like to see them incorporate Cole Rusk, incorporate Tanner Arkin a bit more. We saw a bit of Tanner Arkin back-to-back in the first quarter, which I thought was really productive. But that's a great way to set up the deep passing game. Tanner Arkin, Cole Rusk, those easy passes. And just a matter of, can Luke find them? Can Luke make the reads? And yeah, the rest is history, right?
Yeah, I think I do think Kaliak Manis. The one thing I will say about him is he is the master of the bizarre pass, because he'll throw a pass and you're like, who is he throwing that to? Why did he throw it that direction? And and even like, he misses an out pattern, a 3-yard out pattern. He misses it by 8 yards, so he reminds me more of his Minnesota days today than what I saw, but that's the defense doing it. He's getting some pressure. He's not able to step into the throw sometimes, and that's exactly what they need. I think that was nice to see that. And I obviously thought there would be some better. I thought Anton Raymond was going to be used a little more in the running game, and he has not done so well. I think how many has Altmaier had tipped? 2 or is it 3? He's had a couple.
3, I want to say.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a stat that is typically looked at. Overall, this Illinois team, they've got a lot to play for. You've got an opportunity here. They can get 9 wins, back-to-back seasons, a 9 and a 10, and then that gives them an opportunity to get a bowl game. But that would be a back-to-back 9-win regular season, which I'm not certain has ever been done at Illinois. So there's plenty of motivation for these players to go ahead and play hard. Ked, for the second half, what are you wanting to see? Is this Illini team is looking to seal this thing? And I'll tell you what, I want to see it be 28-6 after the first drive. Beyond that, I'm flexible.
Well, one thing I was going to say is what they get the ball coming out of the second half. I don't want to see 3 and out. I want to see them march the ball down the field, at least to get a field goal. And Zeno stole my thunder. I want to see them use the tight end more. That tight end is a lost weapon in college football. Very few teams utilize it a lot. You saw what it did in the first quarter for Illinois. They have 2 good tight ends, and Rusk and Arkin. Throw the ball to them. They're big guys, and they're different. They're not the same. Arkin's a little bit bigger talent, a bit bigger specimen, and then you have Cole Rusk, who's a little bit more athletic and who has good hands. Utilize that, and you mentioned the running game. If you open up the whole playbook to everybody, I don't care how good of a defensive coordinator you are, that's tough. And so I even think, truthfully, if they would have used a tight end more last week against Washington, it probably would have helped. So that's what I really want to see in the second half. And I, truthfully, from a team standpoint, from a media standpoint, I hope they can hold Rutgers to under 14 points or less, just from a mental standpoint from the defense. They know they made mistakes in the past. Yes, people are saying in here that it's Rutgers. They're a good passing team. They're one of the best passing teams in the Big Ten. So I'm not going to take that away from the defense that they're making strides. But that's what I want to see in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to see in the second half is, I guess, more big picture. I touched on the tight ends earlier, but before we started the stream, I was talking to Mike. I want to see more 2024 Illinois, more game management. I think the one hiccup we maybe had was Brett not declining the delay game on that punt in the first quarter, right? And granted, Luke led the team for a 99-yard drive down the field for a touchdown, so it doesn't matter anyways at the end. But I think that the staff's game management has been great. They've called the right timeouts. They've called the right plays. Of course, Barry Loney's always going to be in his bag with the playbook, but more of that. I think last year, you think about the big wins, the marquee wins that this team had. You think about Michigan, you think about Kansas. Those were all games that were super well managed, right? Think about the double dip going into halftime, the timeouts, the 2-minute drills, and then the maybe more forgettable games last year. You're thinking about Minnesota, where we didn't manage the game that well. This staff just has to manage the game well, has to keep its eye on the clock, has to do everything right, which is easier said than done. But more of that, more composure, right? As Mike said, it should be 28-6 at the end of this first drive. It should be, as Ket said, fewer than 14 points at the end of 4 quarters. I think managing the game well and taking care of what's in front of you should be what is expected.
Yeah, a couple comments. Best mediocre team in college football. I gotta be honest with you. I've been a long time Illini fan, and if you're gonna complain about a team that has opportunity to shoot to 9-3, I guess have at it. This Brett Bielema's changed this program, and he's doing it on a payroll between $5 and $9 million, not 35 that Signetti has or 40 that Ohio State and Oregon have. So again, if you really want a better than mediocre team, put your money where your mouth is and send a check. I'm sure that you want to send a mill their way. They'll find a way to get some players for you, so you don't have to say that anymore. Let's take a look. Oh, the other thing is appreciate bringing on different people to hear from. Zeno has been he's one of our writers now, so we like having him on. Thank you so much for noticing that. We will try to bring new people on. Jonathan Kerr, his daughters are pretty talented, so he's out at some volleyball tournaments. And Steve Sturm is actually live at the game, and it was just the gymnastics of being in the stands are really tough for a podcast there, but we certainly appreciate that. And we'll get those gentlemen back on as well. And I do think need to get the win here. I think Bielema, as much as people say it's a cliche, you do have to win. You have to go 1-0 6 weekends to get to a bowl. And I think they're still looking at, can we find a way to get to a bowl, win the bowl, and get 10 wins for the first time in the history of the program. And that is not an easy thing to do or something that's automatic if you are at Illinois.
Mike, it hasn't happened. I don't know if you caught that. No, back to back. And if they get 9 wins and win a bowl game, and I understand. I mean, I really do. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. I understand the fans' frustrations. They had hopes of being in the college playoffs, and then it wouldn't be so bad, but it's how bad they lost. I think if they would have competed and wouldn't have lost so bad and ugly, fans would probably be able to accept it more.
Yeah, and this is a dated one, but you can see the wins by decade, and it's funny because it's just, and obviously the 20s I've not updated here, but it's hard to do back-to-back 10-win seasons when the best you've had is the 1980s. Shoot, Ohio State in this new world, they put up 60 wins in 5 seasons. It's a whole different perspective, when you start looking at those type of things. Go ahead, Zeno. I think I was interrupting you.
No, not at all. I mean, I didn't grow up watching Illinois football, so I'm not going to say I grew up watching mediocre football like you did, Mike. But 9 wins back to back, 18 wins in 2 years, right? You win a bowl game, that's maybe, what would that be, 17 wins? Or
it'd be 20. It'd be 20
wins?
if they do that, because then if they go undefeated this year, they could win 10, be 20-6 the last 2 years.
Right, and that just doesn't happen in places like Illinois. It's going to happen in places like Bloomington, and maybe that's a little too soon to mention. But honestly, if you can do this, if you're Illinois and you can do that with this group of guys, this veteran group of guys, I don't see any reason why you should be upset. And I get that the expectations were a college football playoff. We spent a lot to retain guys like Xavier Scott, Gabe Backus, but at the end of the day, it's Illinois football, and 9 wins is monumental. It was monumental last year, and doing it back to back would be even more so monumental.
Kid,
it's doable. I will say there's one game on the schedule that concerns me. All of them, because none of them are gimmies. They're all fighting for their lives. Going to Madison, Wisconsin concerns me a little bit. If there was one hiccup on that schedule that's left, that's the game that scares me.
Yeah, I think this team is talented enough to go 4-0 the rest of the way, but they're not so talented that they couldn't go 0-4 the rest of the way. And that's kind of the razor's edge. And that's why I really want to see the defense gain some confidence. And I would also like to see the offensive line beat some people up, because we really haven't seen him do that for a few games here, and that'd be nice to see him beat some people around and get them a little tired out. And boy, that USC win is looking a lot better as the season progresses as well.
Well, Mike, to be honest with you, the USC game was the last game I thought the offensive line dominated. They've done well, they've done bad, but the USC game, because after Purdue, after Indiana, obviously they were embarrassed. That's the last time I've seen them come out and dominate. That's why you mentioned rushing. They have to get that nasty attitude again, open up holes again, and just force their will on their opponent.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat here. Caleb, you said your first year at Illinois was 0-11. I think my first year was it must have been the COVID year. It was the when Wisconsin walked off. When it must have been Chase McLaughlin, the walk off here for homecoming weekend. And the first game that I attended was UTSA at home. Highs and lows of Illinois football. But reading again, gonna need 25 million to keep it going next year from Fedigator. Those are Texas Tech numbers. I don't know if Illinois. There must be an oil well under Champaign if they have 20 to 25.
Illinois has plenty of.
They have the money. They don't
the money if they. But now, how has the faculty and somebody else annoyed the the resident billionaires that are out there? That's always the thing. And then you have to get these guys all ready to donate, and after that. But Caleb, no offense, but my first game was 0-0 at Northwestern. You guys can all talk about your pain. But hey, folks, we will be back at the end of the game. So make sure you tune in. We'll be on the various Twitter pages, and we'll also be on the STL Sports Central YouTube page live right after the game. Ked and I will be on, and then Matt will come on after he gets out of the locker room. Zeno, we might be able to get on, although he's going to be in the locker room as well. And that was a pain. Yes, Nathan, that was a painful 0-0. But I was so young, I was dumb. I didn't even realize that was a problem. So, folks, everybody have a fantastic second half. Until then, go Illini.